Hey everybody, Michael Williams upstairs to the right music. I was sitting here today stringing my 1979 Westbury guitar, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about what guitar strings that I've used. Also, I thought I would share with you a little bit about this whiskey that I bought over in Amsterdam. I have a couple of sips of that and just shoot the breeze. As you can see, I have my assistant here, Miss Ellie, helping out as usual. Let me tell you something. You do not want to string your guitar with a kitten around in the room. Probably not a good idea. But in any case, we'll put up with her for right now. So back in the 80s, when I really started first playing guitar, I really started using these a lot. These are Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. These are the 9-gauge pack. Yeah, basically since I was 16 years old, I've been using Super Slinkies. Now, as you know, we talk about a lot about, you know, our favorite guitars from back in the day. I found it very interesting to find out that a majority of those cats were using 8s. Like Jimmy Page, he used Slinky 8s. So a lot of those rock and roll pioneers, I guess we can call them, they were using really light gauge strings, usually 8s and 9s. Now when you fast forward to around the time a cat showed up on the scene named Stevie Ray Vaughan, who, from my understanding, he was stringing his guitar with 13s. And so that's a significant step up in terms of gauge. Now, Stevie Ray Vaughan was not a tall guy. He was not a very big guy at all. He blew me away because I always, when you see him, he's bigger than life on screen. Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan was not a big guy. But boy, he had some strong hands, man. You have got to have some strong hands to play with a set of 13s. Joe Bonamassa, he uses 12s, on his 11s and 12s on his guitar. So again, really high gauge. So a lot of the guys that I grew up with, they were using Slinky 8s. I myself went in that direction. I actually found, however, that I prefer a set of 9s myself. Actually today I didn't use the Super Slinkies. I used this company called Newtone. Newtone is out of the UK. They are a very, very small operation that produces their own guitar strings. These are handmade and you can order them to whatever specifications that you personally want. I ordered their lighter side of 10-gauge strings, so this is actually a 10 pack, but I do believe that, yeah, so this pack ends on a 0.42. The usual 10 set will end on a 0.44, so slightly lighter than usual set of 10s here that I custom ordered from Newtone Strings. So that's my preference. I like these Newtones. They have a really snappy sound to them. They're kind of like the Super Slinkies, like on steroids in terms of their tone. So I've switched over to them. I have a whole shitload of the Super Slinkies still left, so I'm going to I alternate strings. Sometimes I use the Super Slinkies, sometimes I use the Newtones that I ordered a lot as well. So in any case, I have strung up my Westbury, as I said here. So I am going through the final phase of tuning these up. So what you want to do, what I do is when it's new on, I'll give it a nice little tug here and let it go. And then tune up again from there, just kind of pulling some of that tension out of your tuners up here. When you give it a nice little stretch string, let it pop back. And eventually after doing that a couple of times, your strings will stay in tune. It's a nice little neat trick that I learned a few years ago. So yeah, our E is staying in tune. I tune a little sharp slightly sharp pitch at first when I put a new set of strings on. This also helps a bit in stabilizing your pitch. Do the same thing with the B here. Do a tug, tune it up. Oh, this one is actually staying in tune right out of the box. Cool. Of course, the lighter gauge string that you have, the harder it's going to be for them to stay in tune at first, as you'll find out if you're new at this game. So there is that downside of the lighter gauge strings, is that you'll have a little slightly hard time of staying in pitch. But one of the plus points of having a lower gauge string is that you'll tighten up your bottom end. So a slightly lower gauge string, 8s or 9s, will give you a tighter bottom end in terms of your overall sound. So, you know, just something to think about. Okay. I think we got something going here. Give it a little bit of a strum. Nope, not even close. Let's try that again. So anyway, so when I was over in Amsterdam, I was walking down the street. I was doing a little bit of the shopping that I was trying to do in the little bit of time I had before their lockdown occurred. So I was walking by a shop, and this guy, he owns his own company that does his own distilling. I was primarily drawn into the shop because he does whiskeys, he does vodkas, he does rums, he also does olive oils, he does malt, you know, he does a lot of different things in his shop. And so I went in and I bought a few bottles of extra virgin olive oil from him. I bought some vinegar from him that he had made, and I also bought a couple bottles of alcohol from him that he makes there. This one he produces himself. I don't know if it'll pick up on the camera, but as you can see, this is called Moonshine. This is a Irish single malt whiskey that on the back here it says it's 55.5% alcohol. So yeah, this is definitely a moonshine we got going here. This is not a sipping on the rocks kind of whiskey. This is actually a pretty much shot glass. So if you said give me a shot of whiskey, this is the one to go for. I like it. It's got a nice kick to it, but oh boy, it sure does get you where you want to go. I'm not much of a drinker, but I like this one. So anyway, let's see where we went wrong here. Our D string went a lot out of tune. So let's get that back up. D. A is good. E is good. All right. Strum a chord here. Sounds good. So beautiful sounding guitar strings. I really like these Newtone electrics. I will leave information on the company down in the description. They are my new go-to strings. I really love these. Great sounding, as you can hear. What else? Well, just like everybody else, I'm kind of in hiatus here. As you know, last year I signed up to an agency called Big Sync Music, who hired me on as a producer. And just like everybody else, during this unfortunate situation with the virus, pretty much I'm out of work because there's not too many TV commercials being produced anywhere at this moment. So I have a lot of extra time on my hand. And so, you know, I was thinking, well, you know, this might be a good opportunity for me to work on an album that I've had shelved for about a year now. As you know, I have 6 studio albums under my own name. Please take the time to go to Spotify, check out Mike McWilliams, and pick any one of the albums, download them. That always helps out this channel when you support the music that I produce. I'm working on the 7th, and I kind of started working on it early last year, and I put it aside due to other projects and other things that I started working on. And now I'm thinking to myself that this might be a good opportunity to go back to and finish it up. It is a full album, it's not an EP, so we're talking about a dozen tracks. I've actually got most of the album recorded. I've actually got 12 tracks recorded, but they're all in different stages of productions. Some of them are just demos, so I need to go in and flesh them out and turn them into, you know, complete songs. I've done the vocal on quite a few, on half of them, so the other half need vocals. Some of them need lyrics, so I certainly have my work cut out for me. So I think that that's what I'm going to do during this time that we have, where we're obligated to stay at home here in Singapore. They're not calling it a lockdown here. They're actually calling it a circuit breaker, which, you know, is a head scratcher. But you know, a rose is still a rose by any other name, so to speak. So basically, we're going into lockdown here, starting from Tuesday for 1 month, where I will absolutely have to spend all my time here. It's not like there's any airplanes going anywhere, but I knew the traveling was going to be off the board for a while. So certainly I think that, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this opportunity to work on my album, try to produce more videos for you guys. I know that I have kept not my usual schedule with you. There was advice that was given to me by a professional YouTuber that you should not have a regular scheduled show. Actually, you should try to keep your show daily if that's what you do, or bi-weekly. If that's what you do, but as long as you keep it within a certain frame of time, don't lock yourself into a certain set time. He didn't see any improvement on his channel when he was doing that, so maybe a little bit looser of a schedule for the next month on this channel. We'll see how that works out. I'm willing to try anything at least once. So if it seems a little irregular with the output, that's just the reason why. I'm kind of playing with the scheduling here a little bit. Other than that, I hope that you all have been well. I hope that you've been keeping safe. I hope that you stay home as well. Don't go out there. You really don't want to get messed up, and unless you got to go out and get your groceries and stuff like that, try to stay in if you can. If you're one of the first responders, or if you're a nurse or a doctor and you're working in a hospital, you know, all my respect to you for taking that job on and doing what you do. We all thank you, of course, for your sacrifice you're making with your personal health in order to help others who have unfortunately befallen this illness. So my hats off to all of you. Everybody, I want you to stay safe, stay cool, as I always say, and I'll see you in the next show. You take care. Bye-bye.
Like the show? Well, show your support by subscribing and hitting the like button. See you later.